Close your eyes. Imagine the night sky above you. Endless, vast, alive with stars. They are not silent lights, but ancient witnesses, keepers of stories beyond time. Tonight, we follow one of those stories, a tale whispered by constellations, carried on the wind, remembered by the gods themselves. High on Mount Olympus, Zeus ruled. His storms shook the seas. His voice moved mountains. His power was unmatched. Yet even the strongest heart can feel restless. Beyond thunder, beyond lightning, Zeus longed for something more. Not conquest, not fear, but creation. Something lasting, beautiful, and true. And so begins the legend of the celestial forge. Hidden at the edge of the sky, a forge of starlight and possibility. Here, Zeus would find not greater power, but a deeper truth. A lesson in patience, imagination, and wonder. Come closer. Step with me into this tale. A place where the heavens become a workshop, and where thunder learns to sing with the stars. Imagine a mountain so high, its peaks vanish into the clouds, crowned by light, touched by eternity. This is Mount Olympus, home of the gods, heart of the heavens. Its slopes are green with eternal groves. Trees never wither. Flowers bloom in colors unknown to mortals. Rivers of crystal water tumble, singing songs older than time. The air is alive with music. No instruments can be seen. It is the rhythm of the cosmos, the quiet hum of stars, the sigh of wind dancing with eternity. Here, time loses its hold. Days and nights merge into a golden glow. Dawn and twilight embrace, never parting, flowing into each other, without end. At the summit stands a radiant hall. Columns shimmer with silver veins, roof shining like first dawn. The place where Olympians gather to share counsel and destiny. From here, the cosmos is guided, not with cruelty, but with balance. A balance fragile and profound, like the dance of stars across the endless sky. Zeus, ruler of Olympus, sits among them. His presence is felt before seen. A crackle in the air, the echo of thunder, the warmth of sunlight on skin. His eyes shine like lightning, yet soften like twilight. They carry storms and calm alike. Zeus is strength embodied, but also guardian of harmony in the heavens. Every god carries a gift. Hera, regal, watches over bonds. Athena shapes wisdom. Apollo sings light. Artemis guards mystery. Hephaestus sparks creation. Aphrodite weaves love. Together, they are caretakers of balance. Their essence flows into mortal lives. Seasons turning, fortunes shifting, dreams arriving in the silence of night. Yet even here rests a quiet longing. What is eternity without wonder? Gods too feel curiosity, the pull of possibilities yet unseen. In Zeus, restlessness begins. A question forms, not born of power, but of purpose. Something waiting beyond thunder, beyond lightning, beyond storms. But today, Olympus glows with peace. In the hall, the gods speak. Their voices gentle. Laughter drifts. Ambrosia glimmers in cups of gold. Step closer. Feel marble cool beneath your feet. Hear waterfalls murmur in the distance. Apollo's lyre spills light into the air. The halls shimmer with gold, not gaudy, but luminous. A glow that reflects eternity, a promise that light will never fade. Olympus is both grand and intimate. Gods dwell not as tyrants, but as guardians, each a thread woven into the tapestry of existence. Every breath carries possibility. Every glance at the horizon speaks of endless skies. The air itself hums with creation waiting to be born. And at the center, Zeus, ruler of Olympus, bearer of thunder, keeper of balance. Yet even he wonders, is power enough? The stars rise beyond the peaks. Olympus waits in silence, glowing softly beneath eternal heavens. The story of the celestial forge is about to begin. Though Olympus gleamed with eternal light, Zeus felt something stirring within, a whisper he could not silence, a quiet unease he could not name. For all the storms he commanded, all the thunder he unleashed, his heart longed for more. More than power, more than fear, something beyond lightning. Day after day, he watched the world below, mortals planting seeds, shaping clay, painting walls. Their hands created, and creation gave them joy. No storm could give such joy. No thunderbolt could build such wonder. Zeus felt a longing that no crown could satisfy. At night he walked alone to the highest balcony of Olympus. He gazed at the stars stretched across the horizon like an endless tapestry. Each constellation burned with brilliance, as if keeping secrets from the god of thunder. Zeus listened to the wind, searching for more than its howl. He hoped to hear a song, a truth, a voice. But silence remained. Silence that echoed his unspoken question. Asterisk. What else could I become? Asterisk. Power had shaped his reign, yet power could not quiet the longing within. His storms struck and faded. His thunder came and went. But what endures? He thought of Hephaestus, shaping wonders in his forge. Sparks leapt into life, tools and ornaments that outlasted their maker. Zeus admired that. The beauty of something lasting, a creation that would remain, even when storms had passed. One evening Hera found him and thought, "Why do you stand apart, husband? The hall is alive with song." Zeus did not answer at once. His eyes stayed fixed on the stars. Then softly he asked, "Is there more than rulership? More than thunder and crown?" Hera smiled gently. "Even gods are dreamers. Perhaps that is the truest part of divinity." Her words lingered, but did not still his unrest. For within him burned a new flame, not of destruction, but of creation. Dreams where his thunder-shaped light, where his hands molded stars. He spoke of this to no one else. To the Olympians, he was still the steadfast king. Thunderbolts flashing, authority unshaken. But within, his thoughts drifted beyond Olympus, toward hidden realms, toward stars being born, toward fire that flowed not with fury, but with promise. Sometimes he thought he heard whispers, not words, but impressions. A call carried by the wind. Asterisk. Come, there is more. Asterisk. The gods noticed his silence. Apollo's golden songs could not hold his gaze. Athena's wisdom could not anchor his thoughts. Hermes, with all his wit, could not lift the shadow of wonder from Zeus. For Zeus was restless, with a longing unnamed. Restless, not with Olympus, not with his crown, but with the limits he had always known. The skies themselves no longer felt enough. Something greater called, not in command, but invitation. Not in voice, but silence. A promise waiting beyond thunder and lightning. Zeus dreamed of patience, of beauty shaped not by fear, but by wonder, of a legacy that endured. The stars above burned brighter, as though listening. Their shimmer made Zeus feel both small and infinite, a god on the edge of discovery. The journey had not begun, yet the longing was alive, unshakable. It would carry him farther than thunder ever could. The restless wonder grew, a seed waiting to bloom. The celestial forge awaited, though Zeus did not yet know its name. Night after night, Zeus climbed to the highest edge of Olympus. The air was thin, the silence deep. He gazed upon the stars, patient and eternal, waiting for their secrets. At first, he saw what he always saw. Constellations shaped like beasts and heroes. Stories etched across the heavens. Familiar, distant, eternal. But soon, something changed. In the quiet hours, the stars shimmered differently. Their light pulsed, alive, as if speaking. Zeus listened. He had never thought of stars as voices. Yet a faint murmur reached him. Not words, not music, but harmony beyond speech. The whisper settled not in his ears, but in his heart. It said without saying, asterisk, seek, wander, there is more, asterisk. At first, he doubted. Perhaps the wind was playing tricks. Perhaps his restless longing invented illusions. But the more he returned, the clearer it became. The stars were calling, not in chorus, but one by one. Orion's belt gleamed brighter, guiding his gaze. The Pleiades twinkled like sisters beckoning. Even Sirius glowed with piercing clarity. Together they formed a path, not of stone, not of earth, but of light. Zeus whispered into the night, "What would you have me find?" The stars gave no answer, only a patient glow urging him onward. One night, the air grew warmer. The constellations leaned closer. Zeus felt no longer a ruler, but a student before an endless teacher. The message was simple. Creation is not only for the forge. Creation lives in the stars. It is the heartbeat of existence. He listened each night. The whispers shaped visions, rivers of molten starlight flowing, an anvil of cosmic stone ringing with eternity. Sparks falling like meteors across the heavens, a forge hidden in the stars, a place not yet named, but waiting. The stars gave no map, no road, only a call, a longing that matched his own. One evening, Athena found him. She watched silently. Her eyes, wise and sharp, studied her father. "You hear them, don't you?" she asked. Zeus hesitated. "Hear what?" "The stars," Athena replied. "They do not shine only for beauty. They speak to those who listen. Few ever do." Zeus asked softly, "And what do they say?" Athena smiled faintly. "That is not for me. Each hears what their soul is ready to hear. Perhaps they call you." Her words gave him courage. He no longer doubted. The whispers were real. They were his to follow. That night, the constellations shimmered brighter. The whisper rose clear as thunder in the distance. Asterisk, go. Seek where stars are born. Forge not with fire, but with wonder. Asterisk. The god of thunder, who ruled with lightning, was humbled by the gentlest of voices, the voice of the stars. And in that moment, Zeus knew. The journey had already begun. The days on Olympus passed with banquets and laughter. Songs rose into the sky. Yet Zeus was elsewhere in spirit, far beyond the feasts of gods. Each night he returned to the balcony. The stars glowed with patience. They whispered to him, waiting for him to understand. His dreams began to change. No longer storms, no longer thunder, but sparks leaping into being, dancing across an endless void. He dreamed of rivers of molten light. They flowed between constellations, weaving new forms from the darkness. Sometimes he dreamed of his own hands, not holding thunderbolts, but shaping stars like clay. Each pattern sang with harmony. His storms had always broken silence. But these dreams brought music. Music that built instead of shattered. He saw an anvil, vast as a mountain, forged not of stone but of star metal. Hammers struck in rhythm, waves of brilliance echoing through the void. Each strike did not destroy. Each blow created. The forge gave birth to things enduring, not fleeting. Zeus felt joy, unlike any throne had given him. Not command, not conquest, but the quiet joy of building something that would last. Night after night, the visions deepened. At first, he thought they came from Hypnos or Morpheus. But no, these dreams carried weight. One evening, Zeus spoke to Hera. "The dreams will not leave me," he said. "They call me towards something I do not yet understand." Hera studied him with calm eyes. "You are king. The skies obey you. The thunder answers. Why look elsewhere?" "Because command is not enough," Zeus sighed. "Lightning strikes and vanishes. Storms roar and fade. What of the sparks that build, not break?" Hera touched his shoulder gently. "Perhaps the stars weave lessons only you can learn. Follow them, if you must. But remember, you are king." Her words steadied him. For the first time, he saw the dreams not as burdens, but as invitations. That night, the vision grew stronger. He stood in a hall of light, hammers of fire ringing with rhythm older than time. At the center blazed a forge, not of flame, but of creation itself. energy that shaped the cosmos, energy that endured. He reached toward it. He felt the pulse of existence, stars being born, worlds unfolding, galaxies blossoming like flowers. Creation was not a single act. It was an eternal rhythm, a song that had always been playing, now heard at last. When he awoke, the vision lingered. His heart raced, not with fear, but with wonder. The forge was real. It awaited. From that day, Zeus listened more deeply, not only to stars, but to the silence after storms, the stillness after thunder. Even the smallest sound carried meaning. The call of a bird, the rustle of leaves, the waves upon the shore. All whispered of creation. All sang of shaping, of enduring. The god of thunder, once content with storms, now longed for artistry. The artistry of stars. The journey had not yet begun, but it was already written in him. The celestial forge awaited, and Zeus could no longer turn away. The visions did not fade. They grew stronger. What began as whispers became a steady call, woven into wind and starlight. Zeus could no longer ignore it. By day, he ruled as king. He held the thunderbolt, judged disputes, heard prayers. Yet even in duty, his thoughts drifted toward the ringing of unseen hammers. Apollo's music sounded hollow, like echoes of sparks. Hermes' words faded into silence. All Zeus could hear was the rhythm of creation beyond Olympus. The gods noticed. Poseidon laughed, asking if the skies had grown too quiet. Ares teased that their king was softening. Zeus only smiled faintly. How could he explain? He listened not to war or storm, but to creation itself. The call of something greater than thunder. At night, the dreams returned stronger. He saw a great gateway of light, vast as the horizon. Beyond it stretched a workshop of eternity. Fires blazed without consuming. Sparks fell, not destroying, but becoming suns. Zeus felt himself pulled closer each time. He awoke, knowing the path was not only before him, it was within him. The forge called from the deepest place of his being. One evening, Athena came, her gaze calm, her voice gentle. "Father, your silence grows heavy. What do you see in the stars?" Zeus looked to the horizon. "I see a path," he said. "Not of stone, not of sky. A path of light, leading to the heart of creation." Athena nodded. "Not every god is given such a call. Many are content with what is, but if you hear it, perhaps it is meant for you." That night, Zeus returned to the balcony. He carried no thunderbolt, no crown, only wonder. The stars pulsed with rhythm, like a heartbeat. He closed his eyes. The whispers grew clear. Not words, but a promise. Asterisk, come, and you will know. Asterisk. His spirit stirred. He had ruled with storms. But this was not about power. It was harmony with the cosmos, a new way of being. The forge was more than a place. It was an invitation to join the eternal rhythm of creation, to leave behind what endures. He thought of mortals, shaping clay, planting seeds, raising temples. In their smallness, they touched eternity. Could not he, the king of gods, do the same? The thought humbled him, yet it gave him hope. His crown felt lighter, his path brighter. The stars flickered, as if affirming his resolve. The call grew softer, not urgent, not demanding, patient, but waiting. Zeus opened his eyes. The night stretched vast before him, endless, alive with mysteries waiting to be shaped. He did not yet know the way. He did not know the trials. But he knew this. He could no longer remain still. The celestial forge was calling, and Zeus, god of thunder, would answer. The decision was made, though Zeus never declared it with thunder. It was quieter than storms, like the soft shift of wind before dawn. He withdrew from the feasts of Olympus, no longer at the center of laughter. Instead, he watched the horizon, waiting for something only he could sense. The constellations seemed to rearrange themselves each night. Shapes emerged from the tapestry of heaven, forming a path of light. It was not a road of stone, nor a bridge. but a rhythm guiding him. The stars spoke without words, aligning with silent purpose. One evening, Hermes approached with his curious smile. "Father, you've been listening too long to silence. Do you seek beyond Olympus?" Zeus answered softly. "I seek what lies between the silences." Hermes tilted his head but did not press further. The path was not meant for companions. Zeus must walk it alone. On the highest peak of Olympus, he stood beneath the expectant stars. The winds curled around him. The thunderbolt was absent from his hand. He carried nothing but resolve, lighter than any weapon or crown. The world faded the laughter of gods, the prayers of mortals, even the forests. In their place rose a steady hum, eternal and alive. It was the heartbeat of creation itself, opening unseen doors. Zeus stepped forward, and Olympus faded into silence. The constellations stretched before him like stepping stones across infinity. Each star shimmered with a note from the cosmic song of his dreams. Together, they formed a bridge, alive with rhythm. His stride carried him upon light, not earth, not air. The vastness welcomed him, alive with mystery and wonder. Orion lowered his bow in respect as Zeus passed. The Pleiades shimmered like lanterns, guiding his way. Even the distant planets seemed to pause in their orbit to watch. Yet with each step came trials, shadows born of memory, wars he had waged, storms he had unleashed, burdens of rule. They pressed against him, heavy with doubt and guilt. Would he remain bound to thunder or step into creation? Zeus did not fight. He acknowledged his past. "Yes," he whispered, "I have been a storm, but now I choose to build." The shadows dissolved. The path brightened with new light. For the first time, Zeus felt not a conqueror, but a pilgrim. Ahead rose a glow beyond stars or planets. The very fabric of existence bent toward that radiance. A forge beyond forges, the heart of creation itself. Its light pulsed gently, patient and eternal. Zeus slowed, awe filling him deeper than any triumph. This was no throne to claim, no crown to wear. This was the rhythm he had heard in silence, now alive before him. The celestial forge awaited, vast and eternal. The stars hushed, the cosmos holding its breath. The path behind him shimmered and closed, urging him onward. For the first time in eternity, Zeus felt not a king, but a student, and he was ready to learn. Zeus had crossed the path of stars, leaving Olympus far behind. Before him glowed the radiance of the celestial forge, vast and eternal. Yet between him and its light, a figure waited in silence. It was not mortal, nor god, nor titan. It was older than names, older than time itself. A guardian born from the first spark of creation. The figure shimmered with shifting forms, flame, stone, flowing water. It was everything and nothing, bound together in harmony. When it spoke, its voice was chords of music across the cosmos. "Why do you come, Thunderbearer? Why leave throne and storm behind?" Zeus did not summon his thunderbolt. Instead, he bowed his head, humbled by the question. "I come not as king, but as seeker. I wish to learn the song." The guardian rippled like waves upon a timeless shore. Few hear it, fewer still follow. To create is harder than to command. Zeus nodded slowly, his gaze steady. "I have ruled with storms, but storms fade. I wish to build what endures." The guardian circled him, stars turning with its presence. "Creation demands patience. Will you honor what takes time to grow?" Zeus thought of battles won by speed and force, but he remembered mortals planting seeds, waiting for harvest. "Yes," he said, "I will learn patience." The guardian's light flickered, testing his words. "Creation requires humility. Will you step down from your throne?" Zeus thought of Olympus, of crowns and reverence. "Yes," he whispered, "I will lay aside my crown." The guardian swelled brighter, then steadied like a flame. Creation is not conquest. It is surrender to the rhythm. Will you surrender? Zeus's chest tightened at the word surrender. He had loved victory, command, and the storm. But the forge was not about him. It was about all things. With a deep breath, he bowed fully. "I will surrender. not to weakness, but to the song that has always been. The guardian stilled. The stars held their silence. Then it opened like a gate of light before him. You may enter, not as ruler, not as conqueror, but as learner. Zeus stepped past the guardian with steady resolve. No storm marked the moment. No lightning split the sky. There was only stillness, profound and clear. Behind him, the path of stars faded into the void. Before him, the forge pulsed with creation's heartbeat. He was no longer Zeus, the king of Olympus. He was a pilgrim of the eternal flame. The guardian's voice echoed, soft yet eternal. To forge is not to shape the world as you wish. It is to let the song shape through you. Zeus carried those words as he crossed the threshold. The light of the forge engulfed him in brilliance, not fire, and the king of thunder became the student of eternity. Zeus stepped deeper into the light of the celestial forge. The air hummed with energy, neither hot nor cold, but alive. This was no place of stone or smoke, but endless like a sky without horizon. In the center, a flame burned, though it was not fire. It shimmered like water, gleamed like metal, and pulsed like breath. Every element was woven together, singing in harmony. Zeus moved slowly, his thunder quiet within him. He reached out, not to grasp, but simply to feel. As his palm neared the flame, the forge responded. It flared, not in warning, but in welcome. Shapes began to form within the light. First came fire, proud, restless, eager to rise. It danced with sparks, fierce and uncontained. Zeus saw in it the storms he had once loved. Then water appeared, flowing calm and graceful. It wrapped around the flame, patient and enduring. Its song was quiet strength and endless time. Zeus thought of rivers carving valleys through ages. Next came earth, solid, steady, and unbroken. It rumbled like a drumbeat beneath the stars. Mountains rose in his mind, holding the sky firm. Finally, air swept around him, free and unseen. It carried whispers, laughter, and secrets between worlds. It was movement, freedom, and endless possibility. Zeus closed his eyes as it brushed his skin. The four elements circled him in rhythm. They did not fight, they did not clash. They danced together, step flowing into step. Their music became the heartbeat of the forge. Creation, Zeus realized, was balance, not force. It was not storm against storm, but harmony of opposites. The forge sang of unity, not domination. And he, the thunder god, was a listener. The flame shifted and revealed visions. Mortals bent to crops, tending them with care. Artisans shaped clay, wood, and shining metal. Children laughed as they built towers of stone. Every act of creation echoed the forge. It was not only gods who shaped the world, it was everyone, every hand, every breath. Zeus felt humbled, yet deeply inspired. The elements swirled closer around him. They pressed against his chest, his arms, his mind. But it was not a burden, it was invitation. Learn, they whispered, not to rule, but to join. Zeus lowered his head in silence. For once, he did not summon lightning. Instead, he reached for quiet and listened. The dance slowed. The elements dissolved back to flame. The forge pulsed again, steady and eternal. Zeus stood still, his heart echoing its rhythm. He realized creation was never about him. It was about all things, woven together. He was not conductor of the song. He was part of the choir. A warmth spread through him, gentle as dawn. The forge gave no power, only understanding. And understanding was the truest gift of all. He stepped back, gazing into endless light. The celestial forge held no secrets to steal. It held wisdom to be shared. And Zeus had begun his first lesson. Zeus stood before the eternal flame, its rhythm echoing in his heart. He had seen the dance of the elements and learned creation was not conquest. Yet the forge was not finished with him. A soft vibration spread through the air, like unseen strings being plucked. The flame flickered, and from its light a shape emerged. It was a hammer, but unlike any he had ever known. Not a blacksmith's tool, nor a weapon of war. It shimmered with dawn and twilight, weightless, alive. It floated before him, waiting to be touched. Zeus reached for it with care, hand steady. Warmth filled his palm. Not heat, but living song. The forge whispered, "To hold is not to strike. To shape is not to destroy." This hammer was not for breaking. It was meant to guide, to build, to sing. Zeus closed his eyes and let the song flow. Visions rose in the flame around him. A potter shaping clay with gentle hands. A child drawing joy into sand patterns. Artisans carving, weaving, painting with color. The hammer pulsed softly. The images brighter. Every act of creation was part of the song. Every hand, mortal or divine, a note in harmony. Then, a darker vision came forth. Destruction not of war, but careless waste. Mortals building without thought, tearing without care. Greed and pride overshadowing creation's gift. The flame dimmed. The hammer grew heavy. The forge whispered, "Creation without care is ruin. To build is also to protect." Zeus felt the burden of those words. He thought of Olympus and the arrogance of gods. He thought of mortals striving, yet sometimes to dominate. He thought of himself storms, pride, endless victories. For the first time, he understood. Creation was not glory. It was responsibility. Every act carried consequence. Every stroke of the hammer echoed forever. He lifted the glowing hammer, steady and calm, not to strike, but to guide, not to command, but to join the song. He touched it to the flame. Sparks leapt upward, tiny, radiant stars. Each spark carried a note of music. Together they wove into harmony. Zeus smiled softly. He was not master of the forge. He was student, apprentice of eternity. The hammer was not his weapon, but his teacher. The flame spoke once more in feeling. The lesson was clear. To create is to care. To build is to protect. To forge is to listen. Zeus bowed, humbled and light of heart. He placed the hammer back in the flame. It dissolved into light, returning to the song. The forge pulsed gently as if in approval. He had passed the first lesson. More awaited, but this truth would not fade. Creation was not shaping the world to his will. It was joining the world's greater song. And so the King of Thunder took his first step as a creator. The forge quieted, but its presence lingered in Zeus's heart. He had passed the first lesson, but he knew more awaited him. The celestial forge was not only about gods, it was about all beings. The light rippled again, and Zeus found himself standing upon a vision. It was not Olympus, nor the vast reaches of the heavens. It was earth green, fertile, alive with the breath of mortals. He saw a farmer bending low to plant seeds in the soil. Each motion was careful, deliberate, filled with hope for harvest. Zeus watched as rain fell, and sunlight warmed the fields. The farmer's work echoed with the forge's rhythm. Next, he saw a blacksmith in a humble village forge. The man's arms strained as he shaped iron upon the anvil, not with fury, but with patience. Each strike balanced and true. Every sound was a note in the symphony of creation. Children appeared, their laughter rising like birdsong. They built towers of stones, then toppled them with delight. They drew circles in dust, games weaving joy into the world. Zeus smiled. This too was creation. Mothers wove cloth, fathers carved wood, elders told stories. Each act, however small, was part of the eternal song. The celestial forge resonated through their lives, unspoken yet strong. Zeus began to see mortals with new eyes. He had often thought of them as fragile, fleeting shadows. But here, their song carried power unlike storms or lightning. They built not for conquest, but for love, for survival, for legacy, and that made their creation sacred. The vision shifted again, showing another side of humanity. A soldier sharpened his blade, ready for war. A merchant weighed gold, eyes hungry for more. A ruler raised walls high, closing his people within. Zeus felt the weight of imbalance. Creation without care twisted into greed and destruction. But the forge whispered softly, steady and patient. Even broken songs can return to harmony. He understood then, mortals were not perfect, nor meant to be. Their mistakes, their failings, were part of their song too. What mattered was their striving, their return to balance, and the forge sang through every attempt, great or small. Zeus closed his eyes and listened more deeply. The farmer's plow, the smith's hammer, the children's laughter, all of it joined into one rhythm, one chorus. It was imperfect, yet beautiful in its imperfection. He realized that creation was not only divine, it belonged to every hand, every voice, every life. The celestial forge was not reserved for Olympus alone. It lived in the hearts of mortals, quietly, endlessly. The vision began to fade, the earth dissolving into starlight, but its song remained, echoing in Zeus's chest. It was humbler than thunder, softer than storm, yet it carried a strength he had never known. The forge whispered once more, "Remember their song, for even gods must learn from mortals. Creation is not power, it is participation." Zeus bowed his head, moved beyond words. The thunder within him stilled into quiet awe. He saw now that his journey was not upward, but inward. Every lesson was a step toward humility. As the light of the forge steadied, he understood his task. He was not to claim the forge's secrets for Olympus. He was to carry its harmony back to gods and mortals alike. For the song of creation belonged to all. And so, with the echo of mortal voices in his heart, Zeus prepared for the next lesson, knowing this truth. The celestial forge was not about storm or fire. It was about the song that binds all beings together. The forge pulsed again, and Zeus felt the air grow heavier. This time, it did not show him mortals or their humble creations. Instead, the light bent inward, curling like water around a stone. Zeus found himself standing before a mirror of unimaginable size. It was not made of silver nor polished glass. It shimmered like liquid starlight, shifting with every breath he took. The celestial forge had given him visions of farmers, smiths, children. Now it turned its gaze back to him, to the gods themselves. And Zeus felt a rare twinge of unease. The mirror rippled, and an image emerged. He saw himself on Olympus, thunderbolt in hand, eyes blazing with authority, the king of gods, feared and revered, unshakable in his throne. But then the reflection changed. The thunder in his hand dimmed, and the crown upon his head looked heavy. Zeus saw himself not as a ruler, but as a bearer of endless burden. For every storm he unleashed, there was a calm he forgot to bring. For every decree he made, there was a silence he ignored. The mirror revealed not power, but consequence. Zeus's heart tightened. The forge was showing him not glory, but responsibility. The thunder he loved so deeply was both gift and weight. The mirror shifted again, showing other gods. Poseidon, ruling the sea with pride, yet lonely in his depths. Hera, radiant with authority, yet weary from her endless watchfulness. Apollo's brilliance shone, but behind his music lay vanity. Artemis's hunt was pure, but her solitude deepened. Even wise Athena's knowledge sometimes grew sharp with pride. Zeus saw them all not as distant powers, but as flawed beings. The mirror stripped away titles and temples. It revealed the gods as mirrors of mortals, struggling in their own ways. Zeus realized the celestial forge was not only teaching him humility, it was showing him the shared bond between gods and mortals. Both created, both erred, both sought meaning in their own songs. A voice, soft as wind through leaves, whispered from the mirror. To lead is not to command. To lead is to reflect. Zeus understood. His role was not only to shape Olympus, but to listen. The mirror darkened, and another vision rose. He saw wars among mortals, their cries rising to the heavens. And above them, he saw the gods quarreling too, their conflicts echoing below. The forge's lesson struck deep. Mortals did not simply imitate gods. Gods mirrored mortals as well. Each influenced the other, weaving a cycle of creation and consequence. Zeus closed his eyes and let the truth settle. He was not apart from mortals, nor above them entirely. He was part of a greater whole, bound by the same cosmic rhythm. The mirror stilled, its surface glowing softly like a calm lake. Zeus gazed at his reflection once more. This time, He did not see a ruler or a burdened king. He saw a participant, one voice in the vast song, powerful but not supreme. A storm among many currents, a spark among many flames. Zeus bowed his head in quiet reverence. For the first time, he felt no need to wield thunder or command skies. The forge had given him something greater perspective. The mirror dissolved into light, fading back into the forge's glow. Zeus's heart was steady, calmer than it had ever been. The lesson was clear. Creation was not domination. It was reflection, harmony, and shared responsibility. The path ahead was not yet finished, but Zeus knew with certainty he was changing, and perhaps, through him, Olympus itself might change. The celestial forge glowed brighter than ever before. It pulsed with a steady rhythm, like the heartbeat of the cosmos. Zeus felt the air vibrate, each wave of light sinking into his chest. He had seen mortals shaping creation in their humble lives. He had seen gods reflected, stripped of power, shown in their flaws. Now, the forge prepared to give him its final gift. The light around him shifted, softening into colors of dawn. Golden rays stretched across endless skies, touching every corner of vision. Zeus felt warmth, not fire, but something deeper, acceptance. The forge did not roar, nor did it command. It simply revealed. And before Zeus's eyes, the truth unfolded. Creation was not thunder or storm. It was not dominion, not crowns, not weapons of fire. It was relationship, the threads binding all things together. Zeus saw rivers weaving through valleys, carrying songs to the sea. He saw winds brushing mountains, sculpting peaks with patience. He saw stars guiding sailors, their light a quiet promise. Then he saw mortals and gods alike, each one a spark. Children drawing circles in the dirt, blacksmiths hammering iron with steady hands, Athena teaching wisdom, Apollo weaving songs. Every action, small or great, joined into the same chorus. The forge was not separate from the world, it was the world. Its flame burned within every act of creation, every attempt at harmony. Zeus's heart trembled, not from fear, but from awe. For all his thunder, he had never seen so clearly. His strength was not in ruling Olympus, but in joining the song. The forge whispered one final time. Its voice was gentle, like rain falling on parched soil. You are not its master. You are its keeper. Zeus bowed his head. He felt the thunder within him quiet, settling into harmony. He was not diminished, he was expanded. He saw his role not as king, but as servant of balance. A guardian of storms, yes, but also of calm. A voice among many, listening as much as speaking. The light around him began to fade. The forge's brilliance softened into embers, glowing steady and eternal. It did not vanish. It returned to its silence, waiting for the next seeker. Zeus stood in stillness, letting the moment settle into him. He knew he would carry this lesson back to Olympus, not as command, not as decree, but as quiet truth. When he returned, he would not boast of conquest. He would not claim power over the forge. He would speak of what he had learned. Creation is shared. As the vision dissolved, Zeus lifted his gaze to the heavens. Stars glittered, rivers of light threading the night sky, each one a note in the eternal song. And for the first time, Zeus felt no urge to shout above them. He felt only the joy of belonging, of harmony. The celestial forge had given him its final gift: perspective, humility, and peace. Zeus turned, ready to leave the forge's heart. But in his silence, the song followed him, echoing within his soul. It would remain forever, not his power, but his presence. The story of Zeus and the celestial forge was not one of triumph. It was not about storm or fire, nor about conquest. It was about transformation of a god who learned to listen. And in that listening, he became more than thunder. He became part of creation itself, a keeper of the song that binds gods, mortals, and stars together.